All right, so the Mining Investment Trust turns 30 this year. A trust that has not only supported the industry, but has also played a pivotal role in reskilling mine workers, even trying to uplift families and contribute to the socio-economic development of mining communities across the country. Joining us in studio is Khothatso Khoapa, the Principal Officer at the Mining Investment Trust, to reflect on those 3 decades and the impact, as well as the challenges facing the mining sector today. Khothatso, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. In studio, no less, as well. So happy festive season to you.
Thank you.
Born out of the National Union of Mine Workers, if I'm not mistaken as well. The NUM was the MIT. That significant sacrifice, shall we say, as well, to bring in as much money as possible, but to be able to say the money we make, we'd like to invest and still be able to have a great future. Let's just talk about the history of the MIT.
No, thank you. Good morning, Arabile, and to your viewers as well. No, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, the Mine Workers Investment Trust was founded by the visionary founder being the National Union of Mine Workers. We got founded in 1995. So I think the vision that they had, has matured very nicely, in terms of having sustainable funding over those years to be able to, as you say, plow back the dividends that we get into these entities and the beneficiaries at large.
Yeah. A lot has changed over time in what is being mined, how it's being mined, etc. And you faced a lot of devastation too. How have you been able to adapt what it is you invest in, the investment climate we currently face, and the one that we have faced over the last 3 years?
Yeah.
You've gone through an entire financial crisis in 2008.
Yes.
You go through a COVID crisis in 2000, many others before that. How do you navigate that space in terms of investment?
So if you look at MIT, which is the Mine Workers Investment Trust, we the shareholder of Mine Workers Investment Company, which is essentially our investment arm. Or investment company. And they have grown from about 3 million seed capital in 1995 to about 8 billion or so currently. And I think one of the pivotal things that have helped us a lot has been the strong governance framework that the founders had actually put in place. So having a strong independent board at MIC, employing, skilled investment managers to be able to navigate that world. So, in a nutshell, those are the things, and a focus on growth also in a diversified South African economy. So, if you look at MIC, which is the Mine Workers Investment Company, they invest in the financial sector, in the media sector, so fairly diversified in South Africa. But prudent management is really what has carried the
and one can admit that prudent management and investment has certainly been a key part of investing in general over the last 30 years. As custodians here, though, how do you maintain a sense of understanding what the needs are of those you're serving when it comes to this trust, and maintaining that and still keeping up with good investment standards or a good relation with the industry as it currently stands? How do you manage that relationship?
So, I mean, MIT was founded precisely to be able to plow back into education. Back when the founders were envisioning the trust, was their children were illiterate or they were illiterate, and they wanted a better future for their children. So the focus on making sure that the dividends that have been plowed back governed extremely well. The JB Marks Education Trust, for instance, is one of our key beneficiaries of the trust, where a lot of the mine workers' children and mine workers in general are able to get educated. So it's been that focus on what our core mandate has been, the upliftment of socioeconomic, promoting entrepreneurs, skills retraining, upskilling, which has that's that focus, and the discipline of our investment arm in making sure that it's well run. So the balance of the two, I think the Board of Trustees has had a pivotal role to play in that role.
I mean, that's over 2,000 graduates that have come through the JB Marks Education Trust, all in critical fields, whether it be the likes of medicine, engineering, etc., whether it be bursaries, training, housing even, has been a key part of that. How do you measure your social impact at the end of the day here? Because you look back at 30 years and you ask yourself, have we achieved what was in the founding? What was the original plan?
Yeah, I think the founders are probably proud of I don't think they could have imagined the amount of impact that they would be having 30 years later.
Yeah.
But one thing for sure, there's still a lot to be done. But 2,000 graduates, those are critical skills that have been plowed back into the South African economy. Yeah. And I think as the world of work changes and AI comes into play and mining is going through its own challenges, there's even a greater need for increased funding to go into education and reskilling. So yeah, I think we have actually, there's probably very proud.
Yeah, considering, as you made note of there, the struggles that are happening in the mining industry, it feels like it's getting a little bit more dilapidated. The more labor-intensive mines are being done away with just a little bit more. Absolutely. The investment in our own mining isn't necessarily growing as fast as it is in other countries, whether it be Canada, Australia, and the like, even especially in South America, actually, really, when one takes a look at the investments in mining. How do you then still maintain the kind of growth and structural fortitude that you've done from the start when you've seen so much change and maybe one could say so much weakness in South Africa's mining industry over the years?
No, I mean, mining still is a significant contributor to the sector, 6% of GDP, but I think the challenges are real. AI...
I mean, when you started, it was double digits, sorry to say.
100%.
Right?
It was almost 30% of what they were doing. So, I mean, it's and I think with the uncertainty in regulatory changes that are happening, globalization, trade wars and the likes, there's significant pressure. But above all else, AI, in particular, automation is beginning to remove a lot of jobs in the mining sector. And as you know, our founders is the National Union of Mine Workers, and they are directly affected by the loss of jobs in South Africa. So I think as a trust, we have a very critical role to play in a sense that the education trust that, for instance, that we fund, we also, as you know, Elijah Bachai Memorial Training Center is a key entity of the MIT, where there's a lot of upskilling and reskilling. So there's a strong focus to look at what types of skill sets should we be funding as we go along. And I think your more 4IR skill sets, digitalization tools, it's becoming more and more critical because within that, there's that opportunity. But also from an investment perspective, if you look at, so traditionally MIC wouldn't have been involved in mining investments, strictly being because the founder didn't want to invest in where they actually organize. But with the changes and the decline in mining, there's been a rethinking that MIC should actually be looking at the mining sector. So I think there's huge opportunities in the infrastructure development of that side of things. Yeah. Just to and also mining downstream value chain, just to be able to, stop some of the bloodshedding that is happening in terms of the jobs that have been lost in the sector. Yeah,
that's interesting if you say, going a little bit more downstreaming, because we've cried about things like beneficiation for so long, all right? And have asked ourselves, how do we play a part in the consistent and sustained growth of such industries? But there's the continuing pressure globally that continues to be faced by mining houses around the world. How do you ensure then that the investment strategy is aligned with future growth prospects? Because now it's also about how do you go forward from here? If it's plus minus 8 billion, as you made note of as a possible estimate for what you hold, where to from here in that investment strategy, remaining resilient despite the tough economic environment, despite the tough mining environment? And does coal still factor in, considering what is JET, right? The just energy transition.
Yes. So it's a tricky balance, I think. But from an investment house perspective, which is our subsidiary company, I think they've been focusing a lot on innovative digital companies in that respect. Again, like I've said, they've started to actually look at mining companies now in particular as well. But I think from a future perspective, it's very important that we, become adaptable. One of the things that I think MIC is probably looking at as well is how do they, form other, say private equity joint ventures with other like-minded, because infrastructure is a very capital-intensive sector. Traditionally, MIC has used its own capital base, right? So they've never really had to capital injections from external. So it may be a time to partner to see how do we actually move forward in terms of growing the amount of impact that we can have through very, innovative partnerships with like-minded funders. The same with MIT as well. MIT is looking to diversify its income-generating assets as well. So outside of MIC, we've got a property investment arm, which is NAMPROP. And it's one that we're looking to see whether we can actually grow and help with the social housing issues that are out there while being profitable and plowing those dividends back into the trust so that we do what we're really set up for, which is these public benefit activities.
Well, I can tell you now that it's an industry that when one follows, you see so many challenges within, because there is those socioeconomic and economic factors that you need to consider, still trying to remain as profitable as possible. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the hard work as well. The 30 years of the Mining Investment Trust, that continues. All the best for the next 30 years.
Thank you very much.
Also, a happy festive season to you. Khothatso Khoapa, the principal officer, should I say, at the Mining Investment Trust.